Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live. My name is Juan, for those that I haven't met before. And today we're going to be talking about meditation, especially how we are or how to get into meditation. And the reason why I decided to bring this up or to talk about this topic, and we have talked about this topic in our program a few times, but I think there is many different ways to achieve these or to arrive to this place. I think there is also different teachers teach it differently as well. So I just wanted to talk about my own personal experience, and I wanted to talk about what worked for me. When I did my teacher training in 2009, so 13 years ago, we talked about meditation, but I think at that time it just seemed like for some reason it seemed like a really big deal to me, or maybe I didn't understand it well, or maybe it was a very new topic at the moment. I'm not sure, but I didn't pursue it right away. I didn't try to meditate right away. I think because as many of us get into yoga through the physical body, we know we want to feel the benefits of yoga through the body, through the sensations of the body, the sensations of stretching, the sensations of strengthening, accomplishing maybe a pose that is hard to accomplish, and then once we get it, that feeling of accomplishment. So I think that perhaps at the time when I started practicing yoga and when I did my teacher training, that was what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to achieve relaxation through the body. I wanted to achieve strengthening. I wanted to accomplish more challenging poses. So I think many of us are in different places in our lives when we approach our teacher training or even when we finish. So I guess later on, I didn't think that I was going to be interested in anything else. I felt that maybe that was it for me, and I was happy with that, with those goals within the yoga system. It was after 6 years after that, so around 2015, when I was invited to teach my first teacher training, that I had to talk about meditation. And then it felt like it didn't feel right to me to teach meditation without practicing it first. So so I decided to learn more about meditation, to study more meditation for me to be able to teach it to others. And I started to practice it as well. And then the funny thing is that when I started practicing meditation, I discovered that many of the feelings and sensations that I had achieved with asana, I was also getting with meditation. So it almost felt like it was two different ways of arriving to the same place. When I say two different ways of arriving to the same place, I'm not saying that when you are doing a yoga practice, you can relax as much as maybe meditation. But at that time, for the goals that I was looking for, it felt like two different ways of arriving to achieving that sense of release, relaxation, mind control. In asana, I was trying to control the body and trying to achieve more complicated poses. And then, and then with meditation, I felt that as I kept doing it, it was control over the mind. So it was still that sense of achievement. It was still that sense of accomplishment. So, so I feel that if I talk to meditation to people that haven't meditated before, it is going to perhaps sound very big to them, or is going to, you know, people are interested in working on their bodies, so meditation might not be something they're interested in right away. So I feel that sometimes when we teach, maybe we don't say that we're going to teach meditation. We just tell people, sit down, take a few breaths for 1 or 2 minutes, and that's it. That's all it takes to be able to calm and ground the body. But besides, teaching meditation to other people, I still want to talk more about how to get into it. So if you are a teacher who are interested in, or if you're a practitioner of yoga who is interested in getting into meditation, the first thing that worked for me that someone told me is it has to be easy. If it's not easy, it's not going to happen. So the idea that once something is easy, it is easier for that thing to become a habit. When we are trying to push it onto us, it is likely that it's going to become a habit. And sometimes I hear or see those challenges, meditation challenges, 21 days, 40 days, or science says that it takes 40 days to create a habit, things like that. I'm not saying that that's not true, but in a way, it could be a way to achieve it. But on the other hand, to me, that a challenge still feels forceful. It still feels like I'm doing something out of the ordinary. I'm doing it for 40 days, and it's going to be hard because I'm going to challenge myself. So, sometimes that might get to people, and people like a challenge, and maybe that's a great way to introduce someone to meditation. But whether that practitioner is going to continue after those 40 days to do it every day, I'm not sure. So to me, it works better if I tell myself it has to be easy, that's it, period. And so for me to do it every day without the idea that I have to do it for 40 days. So in a way, kind of already telling myself that I'm going to do it for as long as I can. So that's the first thing is to know that it has to be easy. And maybe that takes a little bit of journaling or thinking or getting to know yourself, svadhyaya, self-study, getting to know yourself. What does easy mean to me? How can I make something easy for me? Because the way that I can make something easy for me is different for the way that someone else can feel that something is easy for them. So I am very much a person, I am organized in a way that every day I have a to-do list. So I like to-do lists. And in my daily to-do list, I wrote it down, meditate for at least 5 minutes. And it doesn't matter what time. But some people need to know the time. So maybe they have more of like an agenda, and then they are kind of like fitting it, the 5 minutes throughout there are many things that I have to do that day. So that to me is easy, is to put it in my to-do list. But sometimes a to-do list for someone else might feel terrifying or might feel too constrictive or stressful. So then you need to sit down and think about what is easy to you and how to make it easy to you. Even if it's just 1 minute while you're sitting in your car waiting for traffic and you connect to your breath, then that's it for that day. So it doesn't have to be complicated, make it easy. The next thing that I like to talk about is it doesn't have to be a long time. Sometimes they say that you have to meditate for at least 30 minutes. But as I mentioned briefly, just being able to take 1 or 2 minutes of the day and sit there or stand there or in a waiting area or waiting for the bus or in your car or on your desk. You can be looking at the computer. Don't tell anybody you're meditating. Just for 2 minutes a day, just notice your breath. So there is also this beautiful saying that says, it is more important to sit down to meditate, to make the choice to sit down to meditate, than the meditation itself. It is more important to sit down to meditate or to choose to sit down to meditate than the actual meditation itself. And I think that this is really powerful because when you are choosing to sit down to meditate, you are consciously giving yourself something that is good for you, something you're breaking the pattern of your day. You are breaking the autopilot brain. You're trying to tell the brain for 2 minutes, I'm not going to try to have that mind chatter that happens 90% of the time every day. So just the fact, and this goes because a lot of people say, oh, I can't meditate, it's too hard for me, I cannot focus. So if someone ever tells you or comes to you and say, I cannot meditate, tell them that once they sit down and choose to meditate, that is more important than the meditation itself. Because they are choosing themselves and they're not choosing the autopilot that drives us 24/7. So talking about our autopilot, that's very interesting because our brain is always in autopilot. And the wonderful thing about meditation is that an autopilot is patterns in the brain and connections in the brain. So choosing to meditate is wanting to put obstacles in those brain connections, to kind of like wake you up, or to kind of like, when I say wake you up, is bringing awareness into what's happening. So to catch the autopilot and be like, oh, I'm in autopilot and I'm thinking about this and I didn't know I was thinking about this, or I'm driving and I got to work and I had no idea how I got to work. I was just driving in autopilot. So meditation helps to break those autopilot connections and put boundaries and obstacles in those connections. So then you start to work on becoming more aware. So once you start to understand these little details about why is meditation a good thing, and I'm just gonna mention a few more benefits. Sometimes it's too late, we go to the doctor and we could have gone before. So it helps to bring awareness into your body, so then you're more aware of your sensations. It lowers your stress. It helps to connect your mind and body. So once you're sitting down in meditation, we usually begin with breath. or noticing sensations or a sound or something. Again, to build awareness, but to also connect to the body. So it's creating more connections of body brain connections, body mind connections. It also improves focus. It reduces brain chatter, as I was talking briefly. And because we are so much more aware of everything, then we're kinder to others and to ourselves. So we start to kind of like see more what we say, what we think about ourselves, what we think about others. I want to talk about a little bit about the focus part, because that is one of the benefits that I found have been have been more, in a way, successful for me personally. You know, sometimes when you go to the bathroom to have a shower and you turn the shower on and it's too hot, and then you kind of like add a little bit of cold water just to make it more temperature, um, more equal to the temperature, or a bit colder so you can get into the water. But then it slowly you start to increase the temperature, so it starts to get a little bit hotter because it slowly starts to feel better in the body. So when we are in the shower and then we increase the temperature of the water so it is hotter, sometimes it gets to a point where it's hotter than when we turned the shower at the beginning and we thought it was really hot. So it's kind of like, to me, meditation is kind of like a way to climatize, or a way to adjust. And the same way that you don't realize the water is getting hotter when you're in the shower, you just want it always hotter until, until it's too hot. Um, it's almost like the same thing happens with the focus part when you meditate. It's almost like suddenly you realize that you're able to focus more, but you didn't know how that happened. So a lot of the benefits of meditation happen gradually, and sometimes for me it's hard to explain how they happen. They just happened. And maybe it took a year or two for me to realize that, oh, I feel that I am more focused than before. So I think that's important to say, because sometimes we're waiting for the data. We are waiting to do something and we want someone else to tell us, by this point, you're going to feel these. Or after a year or after 6 months, you're going to feel these. And you're going to become more X, Y, or Z. And it's almost like we are attached to that Western mind that tells us, or spoon feed us the information. This is when things are going to happen. So I think it's important to know that with meditation, the benefits are not going to be spoon fed to you. You're not going to necessarily feel them right away. It is basically later on that you realize, oh, I feel like I'm able to put myself in other people's shoes easier than I had before. So it's more like that constant checking in with yourself, and maybe try to remember your previous self before meditating, and then the post-meditating, and then the post-meditation person, and how they might be different, and as opposed to hoping for someone to tell you exactly how the process is going to go. That's not going to happen. So understanding that there is no expectations, and that something might happen, and there might be immediate results, like feeling relaxed, but there might be more long-term results that you're going to discover later on. So I think it's important to also note that for those who are starting to meditate as well, don't have expectations. Basically trust the process and don't get attached to the final product. Enjoy the journey, which, we tell ourselves all the time in yoga. So this is a big one. Enjoy the journey and don't think about the destination. So, so I feel that those are ways in which we can open ourselves more to meditation is by knowing those little details, knowing that it has to be easy for yourself, not easy for me, but to you for yourself, that it doesn't have to take a long time, which is part of being easy as well, that there are no expectations, and also that if also easy to you means just lying down and do it instead of sitting up, then go for it. You don't. It doesn't have to be a specific. It doesn't have to be a specific posture. They say that it is better when you are sitting down in a meditation posture, but with the spine straight and head tall and close your eyes and relax. And it makes sense because, those are ways that we can open up the channels in the body and the airways. But I love meditating lying down. Um, while I maybe do some stretching against the wall, like in yin yoga poses. So make it easy for you, no expectations. It doesn't have to be too long. And also, let me see what else I have here in my notes. So let's talk a little bit also about the meditation steps, which I think also sometimes is if we don't know how a meditation gets put together, then it's going to be harder to understand it and then maybe to get into it. So it is nice to follow a guided meditation by someone else if that is something that again is going to make it easier for you. But I just want to tell you just the kind of like the quick setup of a meditation practice, so you know that it is also simpler sometimes than we might think. So it's basically to take a position. So whether you're sitting, lying down, sitting on a chair, cross-legged, maybe even standing while you're waiting in a lineup at the bank. Time limit. You're gonna tell yourself, I'm just gonna do this for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe later on 10 minutes or half an hour. The first thing you do once you have chosen the position and the time limit is to notice your body. Notice in your eyes, notice in your breath, your chest, your belly. Just notice. And it's almost like the body is the first layer that we're going to tackle. And then we start to go deeper into the layers. So the body is the first layer, then we get into the breath layer. So if you are familiar with the koshas, which is a Sanskrit name for sheaths or layers, like the layers of an onion, the idea is that there's bliss in the core of that onion, and the very top layer is the foot layer or the body layer, and then it goes into the breath, and then goes into thoughts, and then goes into the mind, and then it goes into the mind, and then it goes into a state of bliss, and then you are in that very core, your true self. So thinking of standing or choosing your posture, your time limit, notice your body, maybe start to relax your eyes, your face, joints, body parts, then noticing the breath, so you start to go deeper into those layers that I was talking about. Then going back or deeper into the koshas or the sheaths, after the breath, notice the mind, your thoughts. So it's almost like the breath is the vehicle to get into the thoughts. And then if your thoughts start to wander, if your mind wanders, that is when your deeper layer come in, your higher mind, because then instead of you judging yourself and tell yourself, oh, I'm so bad at meditating or I can't focus, is treat yourself with kindness. So instead of being negative about it, be like, okay, my mind was wandering. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I'm gonna go back to noticing my body, noticing my breath, noticing my thoughts. And every time that I break from that and I wonder and I forget that I am there, standing, sitting, or lying down, meditating, that I'm not going to judge myself, but I'm going to treat myself with kindness. So that's when you start to make choices. And those choices are going to influence the way that we treat ourselves in a daily basis or the way that we treat others. And that's it. And then at the end of that, just thanking yourself for the practice. So it's actually quite simple. And a lot of the meditation techniques use this template of having a time to do it, taking a position, noticing your body, noticing your breath, noticing your thoughts, being kind to yourself, and then thanking yourself for the practice. Whether you choose sounds instead of the breath, that also is also a way to play with the senses. Maybe it's about the sensations in your skin. Maybe it is about the taste in your mouth instead of the breath. So there are different ways to play with this. When it comes to like the mind part, many techniques have counting in them, counting from 20 to 1, in first counting the even numbers, 20, 18, 16, 14, or then and then counting the uneven numbers, 19, 17, 15. So different ways to focus the mind, but it's always going to be starting from the outside in. It's always going to be starting from the body into the thoughts, in the body into the senses, into the thoughts, into your higher mind that watches everything that's happening, and then into having that place of thanking yourself for the practice. So, yeah, I hope that this live has given you a better understanding of actually how easy it is to meditate and how not complicated it is. And hoping that the more you understand about this practice and how simple it can be, then you're going to be able to access it easier and to use it for your daily practice and for your living in general, and just to continue ourselves in our journey of being better versions of ourselves. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing. Another sentence that I love, another quote that I love is, it's better done than perfect. So if you sit down in meditation, you thought that it was horrible, you didn't do anything you set yourself to do, your mind was chattering, hey, you did it, you completed your time, 1 to 5 minutes more, and that's it, that's all that matters, and you chose to do it as opposed to telling yourself that you didn't have the time for it. So it is better done than perfect. Thank you so much for listening to this, whether you're live or watching the recording. And if you put any comments or questions, I'll answer them after this live. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.